The story broke here in the foothills of California's high Sierras, in the heart of the Mother Lode country. In Nevada City, the isolated home of Martin Landley, gold miner. It was early in the morning. The purpose of the visit? Robbery. Result of the visit, the murder of Martin Landley. The stories that shock a nation, move them, make them laugh, begin here. Like this one. Murder headlines seldom shock a newsman. But when a story touches the private life of a reporter, it ceases to be routine. This happened to veteran reporter of the San Francisco Chronicle, Bernice Freeman. 48 years old, a grandmother 5 times, she has reported crime for 25 years. And she was convinced her toughest assignments were already written, until she got this one. They're rolling now. The presses are rolling on Deadline. 3 weeks in bed with the virus is a long siege. But now Bernice Freeman was back at her desk at the Chronicle.
Doc tell you we're ready for the grind again?
No, he didn't tell me. I told him. He wanted me to spend another week under that magnolia tree. I said no dice.
Well, if the doc feels that way, you'd better go light for a while.
Yes, sir, doctor. Sir.
I'll see you a little later.
Hey, what do you have going?
Well, did you know a guy named Larry Ellis?
Larry Ellis? Sure thing. He cub reported for me back when I was editing the Marin County Journal. Must have been 10 years ago.
A reporter?
Sure, what's the matter?
They've got him up in Nevada City on suspicion of murder.
What? Oh, come on now.
Here's a clipping on it. Bill Schaefer was through there. He sent word. This guy's been asking to see you.
Oh, this is ridiculous. Larry would never kill anybody.
What kind of a guy was he?
He was a very interesting boy. He was fresh out of the Army when I hired him. We got to be close friends, you know, had long talks. He was like a son to me.
Well, I didn't realize you were that close.
Who is he supposed to have killed?
Well, it says right there. Some guy, a gold miner. Evidently a robbery attempt.
Where are you going?
I'm sending Bill Schaefer on it.
What's the matter with me?
But Bernie, you've been under the weather.
I feel fine.
Nevada City, California is a friendly town, but it has a jail. And there are no friendly jails.
You can see him in a few minutes, Miss Freeman.
Thank you. Tired?
Pardon?
You look weary.
This business hasn't been easy on any of us. This is a small, peaceful town, Mrs. Freeman. We're not used to this sort of thing. I have a lot of outside pressure on me.
Is that why you've held Larry these 3 weeks? Because you need a conviction?
No, ma'am, it isn't. I'm not trying to railroad the boy. If he can convince us that he didn't do it, I'll be happy to release him, and I'll wish him well.
I'm glad to hear you say that.
You're pretty certain he's innocent, aren't you?
You get my message very clearly. What makes you think that he's mixed up in this?
We have some pretty strong evidence against him. We're collecting more.
Like what?
You don't really expect me to tell you that, do you?
No harm in trying.
There's one thing I can tell you. Your friend was buddies with Frank Dawson and Johnny Edwards.
You mean the guys that are on trial for the Cunningham murder?
That's right.
In other words, you have enough evidence to hold him in jail, but not enough to convict him without a confession. Right?
It's okay now, Ralph.
You can see him now, Mrs. Freeman.
Thank you.
Mrs.
his landlady's about due out.
Oh, Mrs. Freeman, I can only let you have a few minutes.
Thank you. Hiya, Larry. What are you doing in this hole?
I knew it. I knew you'd come. I knew you'd come.
Well, what did you think? I'm in the market for a story as well as the next one.
Oh, gosh, it's good to see you.
This where they keep you?
No, it's just when they questioned me, I got a regular cell and everything. Hey, what's the matter with you? You don't look so well.
Oh, I've been a little run down lately. Feel fine now, though.
Maybe you shouldn't have come, huh?
Don't be silly. This high Sierra air has perked me up already.
God, if you're not feeling well.
Oh, you're beginning to sound just like my daughters.
Hey, how are they?
Oh, they're fine.
You know, I got kids now, too.
Oh, when did you get married?
Well, I've been married 3 years. Got 2 boys. Just had another one. A girl. First girl.
Well, congratulations, Larry. That's great.
Yeah. This is the dumbest thing that ever happened to anybody. I don't know whether I'm coming or going, Bernie. I haven't seen my kid yet.
Look, they seem to think that you walked into a man's house with a gun in order to rob him and ended up shooting him.
You believe them?
Well, to tell you the truth, I'd have difficulty believing it if you told me you did it.
Thanks, Bernie. That's what I need.
What's this evidence that they think they've got?
I don't know. I got caught in a crazy web. They seem to... They got wind of my being friends with Frank Dawson and Johnny Edwards.
How'd you ever get to be friends with them?
I realize that now. Frank seemed like just an ordinary nice guy. Sure, he was a little on the rugged side, but what's wrong with that? He had such a nonchalant attitude about life. Easy to be with, full of laughs. I don't know, he made me laugh, feel important. We did a little hunting together. Then I started to travel. I didn't see him much after that. But they won't believe me. They seem to think I went around robbing and killing people with it. You know me, Bernie. You know I couldn't do that.
Of course I do.
I was doing all right until I met him. I held down a job for two years selling in a department store. That's the longest I'd ever worked in any one place. And one day he walked in to buy fishing tackle. Why wasn't I home sick that day or out to lunch or something? How can one little moment of meeting someone, one little stinking moment lead to something like this? Bernie, you've got to get me out of here before I go out of my mind. I want to be home with my wife and kids. I want to be able to think clear again, Bernie. I can't think anymore. I can't think.
Okay, Larry, okay. Take it easy. We're going to do everything we can. Now, look. I just want to get a few things straight, that's all. And I want you to get things straight for yourself.
Yeah. I'd like to get them straight.
Hey, you sure get your share of music.
There's a kid plays those records. Teenager. I saw her once out of the window of my cell. She's a cute little kid. She plays such sad songs. I guess that's the least of my worries, huh?
I'll have to ask you to leave now. You can come back again.
You just hold on and don't worry.
Bernie,
I'll be back soon. And don't worry, because I'm with you, Larry, all the way.
do you think?
I don't see how he could have done it.
Well, listen. I've been wrong before. I could be wrong again. I hope I am. He seems like a nice boy.
I'm glad to hear you say that. Is there anywhere around here that I could get a room?
Oh, yes. There's a motel down the highway a bit. You're going to help him?
Yes. I think he's innocent.
Here's someone I think you'll want to meet. Mrs. Freeman, this is Mrs. Landley. She's been away, just come back to town.
How do you do?
How do you do?
What's the word, Mrs. Landley?
It's him. I know him anywhere.
What do you mean?
He's one of the men that murdered my husband.
There are two parts to Bernice Freeman, reporter and woman. The reporter half knows that a positive identification is a fact, and facts are news.
But I swear to you, Ellen, that I don't have anything for a story. I don't just want to throw you scraps. Well, of course I will, the minute I get anything definite. Sure. You know me. The minute I get it. Yeah, right. Goodbye.
Don't you consider a positive identification news?
Look, I think I know a piece of news better than you do.
Well, what'd you get, Ralph?
The identification has him worried, but he's still holding out. Now that you've had time for it to sink in, what do you think?
The woman is mistaken.
How do you figure that?
Larry wouldn't have asked me all the way up here to help him if he were guilty.
That may be, ma'am, but it isn't a fact. Not too convincing in a courtroom.
You can't simply go into a woman's house and say, your husband is dead. You think you saw his murderer. You're wrong. The reporter can't do that. But a woman can do it. A woman who believes in the innocence of a man she likes. Such a woman can. She must.
My husband was a gentleman. His whole life he never harmed anyone.
I'm sure of it.
He thought there were friends at the door. We were expecting company, and we were going to spend a quiet evening with friends. Instead, two men walked in, and...
Where were you when your husband went to answer the door?
I was fixing dinner, and I heard him yell. And a moment later, he ran in here, and they were following him. And they shot him right here before my eyes.
You got a good look at them.
They were right there.
You must have been very upset and frightened. Under the circumstances, it's not always easy to be sure of what you see.
I'm sure.
Mrs. Langley, a man's life depends on your identification, a young man's life.
You trying to say that because he's young, I should be kind to him? Is his life more important than my husband's was?
No, I'm only saying that you might be mistaken. It could have been someone that resembled him, someone that looked like him. It was a horrible, frightening experience for you.
And every day I have to relive it. Every day that I spend in this empty house. And no one to share it with. No one to be with. Someone has to pay for that.
Yes. But not just anyone.
Someone has to pay.
You're not sure that it was Larry Ellis. That's the truth, isn't it, Mrs. Langley?
Larry, I tell you, the woman is not sure. Her testimony won't stand up. Now, all we need is proof that you weren't around at the time the crime was committed And we've got this thing licked.
Bernie, I can't remember an ordinary night 2 years ago.
I just want you to try.
Oh, what's the use? As far as they're concerned, the identification clinched it. I'm guilty, period.
Larry, you're not listening to me. I can't do this all by myself.
You realize that seeing you today was the first ray of hope I've had in 3 weeks? Then that woman comes in, someone I've never seen before, and nails me to the cross. What's the use?
Larry, I want you to tell me where you were at the time the crime was committed.
I can't think. I can't think. My mind keeps going back over all the wrong things. I can't think. If only once I could remember something good that happened to me. Do you realize when I was a kid, I never once did anything my folks approved of? I never once ever made them happy. Except lately, maybe when I got married and settled down a bit. Even then, I always felt something was wrong. I don't understand. I try. I guess I'm just not good like they are or like they want me to be.
Larry, you know that I wouldn't be here right now if I thought that. You know that, don't you? Now, if you want to think back, why don't you try remembering those friends you had back in San Rafael and all that work together we did at the Journal? That was something good, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I used to like those discussions we had when the work was in. I got a kick out of those talks.
We sure carried on, didn't we? Yes, you were so chock full of ideas about what was right and what was wrong. I thought you were going to turn out to be some kind of a philosopher. Say, do you remember that day that my little Emily came into the office? Oh, she wasn't so little. She was about 16, I guess. She said she was going to the movies, and you insisted on phoning to find out if the picture was okay for her to see. You remember?
Yeah, I sure do. I can see her now, how she clenched her teeth and tightened her lips, trying to keep her temper down. You don't suppose she was mad at me, do you? I mean, deep inside mad at me?
Emily? Oh, she liked you a lot.
No kidding?
Yes, all my girls did. Huh? And their mother. You're a very attractive guy. You've got a lot of charm. And you're intelligent. Only you've got to realize that about yourself. You got to realize it and keep remembering it. And you can do good things with your life. Good things.
Bernie, I was trying to do good things, so help me I was. I had a job, I was taking care of my family.
Of course you were.
Only thing was, I kept having to fight this urge to run off. You know, like down to San Francisco or LA, not be trapped. You ever feel like that?
I guess everybody feels that way once in a while.
That's what I liked about Dawson and Edwards. You know, they wanted to do something, they did it. They wanted to go hunting, they went hunting. They wanted to go fishing, they went fishing. Wanted to go to Frisco, they went to Frisco. Nothing seemed to bother them. And they accepted me. No questions asked. I was one of them. They were rugged guys and they accepted me.
Larry, why does ruggedness impress you so? I remember how fascinated you were with the men I interviewed at San Quentin.
You know, none of those guys could touch Dawson and Edwards. Edwards was a cold, shrewd...
What?
Nothing.
You knew what those men were, didn't you?
I guessed it after a while, and that's when I took off. I was afraid, so I beat it. Now, that's the truth, Bernie.
Larry, do you know anything about them that would help clear this up?
No. I told you, I took off the minute I guessed they were mixed up with the law.
And you never saw them again after that?
Are you going to start grilling me, too?
Larry, I can't help you if you keep hiding things from me.
I'm not hiding things.
Oh, yes, you are. You've avoided every question I've asked you. You're not being honest with me, Larry, and that frightens me. I've put my faith in you, but I want something from you. I want you to put your faith in me. Now, I'm going to have to ask you a lot of questions, and you have to give me the answers.
All right, but don't make it sound like you doubt me, too. It's hot in here. I'm scared, Bernie. I'm scared. I'm scared to death I'm going to end up saying the wrong things. You don't know what happens when you're shut up like this. And they're constantly questioning you. You don't know what goes on in your mind. You begin to feel guilty about everything. Your whole life, everything you've ever done. And what they say begins to make sense. It takes all you've got to keep from screaming out that you did it. Why doesn't she stop it? Why doesn't she stop it? Turn it off, do you hear me? Turn that thing off!
Larry!
Stop it!
Larry! Larry, don't!
How do you do it, Bernie? How do you live like the world wants you to live? How do you conform to every little rule and regulation? How do you get people to love you? Really love you? Not just now and then love you, but all the time, so you can feel it there inside. So it's strong and warm and good and happy.
You have to first love yourself and what you are before you'll ever accept the idea that other people can love you.
But it's so hard.
Not if you're honest with yourself, Larry. You have to be honest.
Honest? Yeah, I want to be honest. I want to feel clean inside. I want to...
When I get out of here, I'm going to get us a lawyer. We're going to fight this thing through together. I'm putting everything I've got in back of him, Larry. All my influence, my reputation as a reporter, everything.
Bernie? I can't do that to you, Bernie. I lied to you. I did it. I didn't mean to do it. I didn't mean to hurt anyone or kill anyone. It was just going to be an easy robber. That's what Dawson said. I did it, Bernie, I did it.
Although Larry Ellis confessed to Bernice Freeman, he refused to sign a confession. Placed on trial, he pleaded not guilty. But after 11 hours of deliberation, a jury found him guilty of murder. He received an indeterminate life sentence. Bernice Freeman saw the story through to its end. She saw a friend stand trial, hear sentence, enter on a life term. Saw it all and wrote it all on Deadline.